All right. You ready?
Ready as I'm gonna be.
You look like you're about to fall asleep.
I'm so tired now.
We got to start doing these earlier, okay? This is episode 54.
This is why we haven't done one in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, vacation and stuff. So this is Close Encounters of the Funny Kind, episode 54. We were out of town last couple of weeks, really, because we went out of town the week before, and then we got back Saturday, and we hadn't really looked in, like we drove back that Saturday morning, and the kids stayed with the grandparents for a couple extra days, and we talked about it, and I was like, I don't want to just fumble through one, just for the views, as they say. So I said, let's just wait, and we put it off. So we're a couple weeks behind. We got to get more consistent. Summer's kicking our butts, man.
It really is.
It's a lot.
No beer tasting.
No, we didn't get a beer. We drank them though. Yeah, I was like, oh, what's this mystery beer?
He built us a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And it stayed in there, and then we came home from vacation. We're like, oh, there's not a lot of beer in here, and started drinking.
I was like, well, there's a couple in here. I can get a couple of these mystery beers in. One of them was disgusting. It was like a sour. I don't know anything. I'm staying away from those.
It said Scallywag.
I don't remember, but there was one that said sour something, sour candy beer or something. Ugh.
I'm sure we can get it again.
It's terrible, straight terrible. The enthusiasm you show on our podcast is always so appreciated. We did do this. I want to say this stuff.
Wait. So we did an experiment on vacation. So if Sam puts in a Zen, what happens?
You get the hiccups. Sam started getting a little stressed out, started popping Zens in. She's like, so Sam's like stressed out, and I was like, I had just rocking the Zen, and she's like, let me have one of those. So she puts it in, and she goes, whoa. Whoa.
So if you remember,
she goes, I see why you do this. It's like doing a shot.
If you remember, I did it once on camera.
Yeah.
And I immediately throw it out.
It's on there. You got to search it up. Sam does a Zen. It's in the title. And it was, Sam was there.
Wait, do you have one on you?
No, they're back there. I don't have them in my pockets. I can go get one.
Go get one. So.
Journey to the back.
So I did one once, and I had to spit it out. Hiccups. So I needed to do one during our vacation, and I was like, we were at the checkout. He gave me one that he already had before he bought another pack and I put one in. It was
little wintergreen. There you go. This will be fun. You're gonna start.
Sure, hiccup thing.
All right.
You're doing these at the zoo today.
Yeah, you can rock them anywhere. You can rock them in the office.
How many did you do at the zoo?
I think just one. I was we I don't know if you said that. We went to the zoo in Florida. So hot, and it started at 10:30, and just drenched in sweat after walking around for like an hour. I was like, I feel like we're running. Like I was out of breath. Like, and it wasn't the walking or the exercise. It was just so hot and humid. There's no wind. It just felt like we were in a sauna walking around. Oh,
it wasn't that bad.
It was for me. My core temp was high. I was running hot, as they say. So it was overall good vacation.
See any orbs?
No, just weird vibes sometimes. I don't know. Something has felt a little off with the vacation home since was it Hurricane Michael came through? I don't know. There's some different vibes of how it used to feel. What are you doing? What's happening?
I had a spit. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm a redneck girl. I had a spit in a can. All right.
Get it together. You gotta. We gotta start doing this.
What kind of vibes?
This just strange vibes. I don't know, because of different stuff going on and the spirits. Maybe, I don't know. Something weird over there.
The devil.
I don't know, but I do want to say this. Maybe in the future we got to start these without you already having had some cocktails, so you got a little bit more energy. Sam, this is like Sam's bedtime.
I had a long day. Like went to the gym this morning at 7 a.m.
Yeah, I know it was a long day, but we gotta rock these out. It's for the fans. You got to give them 100%.
We haven't done one in so long. I'm sorry, I forgot.
It's all right. I do have a story. And I saw this. I had seen this a while back, but I saw a clip on it the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't think Sam knows about this."
Probably don't.
You probably do. So I have a story. This is about Ashton Kutcher potentially being involved somewhat, or at least being... What's that?
Bird.
Okay. All right, you got all those out before I tell the story?
Nope. But yeah, go ahead. Holy Jesus Christ almighty.
Anyway.
Yeah.
This is back... with Ashton Kutcher, it's back when the 70s show first started. So it was like early 2000, 2001. I think it was after maybe the first season. But anyway, he was dating this girl, hooking up with this girl. He was supposed to pick her up to go to like some after party or award show or something like that. Like around 8 o'clock. I guess he called her at 8 o'clock and said he was running late. Okay. So he said he was running late. Said it'd be about an hour or so. Okay. He finally shows up, and that was one of the things I wanted to look up, but I didn't see. So if anyone looks it up, then I'm wrong. I don't know if there was actual...
I've seen this.
But listen, I don't know if there was phone records that show she actually picked up the phone or anything like that. If he left a voicemail, text message, whatever. So that in all the murder stuff I've watched, the timelines get fuzzy a lot of times. That's the key point. So he shows up at her house at 10. Okay, knocks on the door, whatever. He's 2 hours late, which is odd to begin with, but celebrities, who knows? He shows up at 10.
But he wasn't a true celebrity then.
Yeah, it's kind of young. I mean, he's dating she's just a, pretty girl, whatever. I don't think she wasn't anything famous or anything like that. So he said he knocked on the door, no answer, called her, couldn't get in, whatever. Tried the door, looked in the window, couldn't see anything. He said he saw a red stain on the floor, which he later said he thought was just a wine spill or food or something like that. Then he leaves. Okay. So turns out the next day, her roommate comes home, finds her brutally murdered. Okay. He calls the police and says, "Hey, I heard about this. I was dating her, hooking up with her, whatever."
He was trying to get ahead of being a suspect.
Right. And said, "My fingerprints are probably," he said, "I tried to get in. I went by last night. The door was locked, but I touched the doorknob. My fingerprints are probably all over the apartment." It's a weird call to make, just in general to come out and just be like, "Hey, by the way, my fingerprints are all over the apartment." Why wouldn't you just let the police investigate it? But he was getting ahead of it, whatever. So, they investigate it, goes to trial, whatever, when they're investigating. It ends up that they say that there was a serial killer that was living, I guess, next door or in her complex that they had linked to a bunch of other murders. The problem was that in all the other crime scenes, the killer had left DNA, fingerprints, all that stuff. At this crime scene, there was no fingerprints or DNA. Okay? So it's very odd. He, that night, the only 2 calls he made were to Danny Masterson and to his publicist after, late at night. For what it's worth. When I think they ended up convicting the serial killer guy for it. And Ashton was actually at the trial. When Masterson got in trouble, him and Mila wrote letters to the judge saying, he's a great guy, whether this is true, trying to say, he's my role model, he's such a good guy, blah, 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 blah. Okay? One of Danny's victims, / somebody he was dating or whatever at the time, I don't know. She wrote a letter or posted this on social media, and she said, "Dear Ashton, I know the secrets your role model keeps for you, one that would end you," referring to Ashton calling Danny a role model in his letter. She claimed to have heard everything, hinting at a secretive phone call between the actors on February 21st, 2001. "I heard the plan. In my opinion, you're just as sick as your mentor." So her claim was that he was on speakerphone. When he called Danny, he had him on speakerphone and was talking to him when she was there. Which, what does she have to gain out of this other than just trashing him? But it's a very strange thing. So that was just from years ago, but I wanted to bring it back up because it's a very...
It is.
It's hairy, like there's not... and I've been watching all these, or listening to all these crime podcasts and some of this stuff, and the timeline is such a huge thing.
Yep.
Because, so from, I would love to watch something more in depth on it. So what were his whereabouts from 8 to 10?
They won't make a movie about it.
No, because he's famous. But
right.
But he's in trouble. He's been linked to all the Diddy stuff, getting him in some hot water with some of that too going on.
Everyone is.
I think him and Mila finally broke up, or
are they?
They separated. I think when all that Diddy stuff came out, I think they separated.
A lot of couples have separated since
Distancing.
the Diddy trials.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
There's been some stuff trying to distance a little bit. So
you all attached yourself to the wrong person.
These, I don't want to get too, but I don't get the whole rich thing and getting weird. I don't
either.
It's like they've had everything, so let's get weird. Just.
But I don't understand the whole thing in okay, I need to get popular and I need to get big. So let me do all of the bad things.
Yeah, why not just be famous and rich, and you could stay single, and I don't know, because I think I was gonna say DiCaprio has been linked to some of this, but just be single and just date a bunch of chicks. You don't, know
what's funny is if you looked at the ratio of females versus men or males, females and males that have used Diddy to get popular, it's more the males than it is the females.
Yeah.
It's more so I don't
know. I got a video I want to show you. This is unrelated. Okay.
But I will say this.
What?
It has impacted me.
Has it?
I don't watch certain movies with certain people anymore.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay. No, that's okay.
As long as no one from the Family Stone comes out and you're part of the Diddy, we're fine.
Okay.
Because that's my go-to.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. This is one, I don't know how true this is, but I'm gonna put this in here. Mm-hmm. This is Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is an astrophysicist, big smart guy. He's been on Rogan.
Oh, we're going deep.
He's been on Rogan a whole bunch, so I'm going to put this on here. All right.
Size of the Rose Bowl.
Okay, I'm going to start it over.
There's an asteroid the size of the Rose Bowl headed towards Earth. It's called Apophis, named for the Egyptian god of death and darkness. It'll have a close approach to Earth in the year 2029. It will come close enough to Earth to dip below our orbiting communication satellites. For that passage, that will be the closest, largest thing we have ever observed in the history of our observing the universe. The uncertainty in its orbit at this moment is such that for that passage, there is a range of orbits it could have, which if it goes through what we're calling the keyhole, Earth's gravity on it will be just right that the next time around it will hit Earth 7 years later, April 13th. If it goes to the center of the keyhole, it'll hit the Pacific Ocean 500 kilometers due west of Santa Monica. It'll plunge into the Pacific Ocean to a depth of 3 miles. At that depth, it will explode, cavitating the ocean with a hole 3 miles wide, 3 miles deep. That impulse will send away a tsunami wave that will basically wipe out the entire west coast of the United States and the east coast of Asia.
I don't believe that.
There's been a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff centers around the end of the world being in like 2027. Some of that stuff. Of course, this comes up every few years. Every few years, like, oh, there's something. Like,
I mean, there's the whole thing saying that our generation has gone through so much.
Yeah, like the millennials have been. I mean, we've been
at this point. Fucking bring it on.
That's how most of us feel. I'm like, will this drop mortgage interest rates? Yes or no?
Okay. Do you remember in 2012? Maybe 2013? We packed our bags. We were ready.
We talked about this. This was the Mayan thing. Yeah. You packed a bag. You were like, we should pack a bag. I'm like, well, if it's the end of the world, I don't think the bag's going to help us. But, you were like, let's get some batteries. We need batteries.
What I'm saying is, like, we have all this shit in place that we scare the shit out of people.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. Either fucking...
Yeah, had a burp. Yeah, had a burp.
Okay. Either fucking do it or don't do it. Like...
Well, that's what I said. I've always said this.
We're fucking ready.
If there is a zombie apocalypse or world type
He's ready to be gone from work.
Yeah, I don't want to clock in anymore. But I said the problem is it's going to happen 10 years from now when I'm not really able to run that fast from zombies and stuff. Like my knees are going to be shot and I'm going to be the guy that's like you guys go, I'll stay here and I'll like fend them off, whatever. Just go.
But see, that's why I'm so good at the skier thing because I'm good at like.
You're going to ski away from the zombies?
No, but I can pull. I'm a carrier. I can. That's.
You're gonna carry what?
We talk about our past lives, right? I think my past life is I'm supposed to do stuff like that.
Yeah, to carry stuff or ski. You were an Olympic skier in a past life. You know the one where they go off the end and they go like that and they.
You're a fucking
what is that?
asshole.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Maybe you died in a skiing accident.
The muscles and the endurance that I have.
I think that's
for survival.
That's what most women have. Most women have more endurance than men, but they say that that's through like thousands or millions of years of evolution because you guys used to have the child caring, but like just the hunting and gathering and stuff where the men were kind of like more of a fast action, you're like when you're hunting, you're hiding and crouched down and then you spring out and get them. Like I've always said, like I'm faster than you in a short race. Like
I'm faster than you in a long pace.
Like if we race 30, 40, 50 yards, I got you. But if we race a mile and a half, you're gonna have to come back and get me with a car. I'm just gonna be like, I cramped up. My knee and my feet hurt. I had to lay down. I need some water. But
in true story though, like that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be short sprint.
Yeah, short burst.
Short burst.
Yeah.
To protect me, so I can take myself and our livestock and go another direction.
And the children.
And that's what it's supposed to be.
I saw another video this week.
That's why we're supposed to be married the slow versus the fast.
I saw a video, and it was talking about your likelihood to survive in like 1850 or whatever. And it was running through all the stuff that was bad, like just sanitary wise, but like had like polio, cholera, like all these different diseases. They said like the paint in houses was lead. There was lead piping in the water. Like they said that they used to put arsenic in baby bottles because they thought it killed bacteria and all this crazy stuff. So,
are you serious?
Yes. I should have said, I think I had saved it, but I was like, the list was so long of all the stuff that like could kill you in like 150 years ago. So like your likelihood to survive just like 150 years ago, like to survive to adulthood was insane. And that's assuming you didn't die at 18 or 14 in a milling accident. Or because back then there was no child labor laws or anything. Yeah. So kids would die like when they were 12, like doing some dangerous like manual labor they should have had no right doing. You know, assuming you got through all the diseases and viruses and stuff like that. Like, so we've talked about that before, like the ability of our like species to survive. It's amazing that we're even here because so many generations have been wiped out. Uh-huh. I mean, if it was just that's why people had so many kids. But if it was just if one kid survived, there's a good chance that he could have died to not carry on the family name just from any number of it's like, remember that movie A Million Ways to Die in the West? Where like they drop the block of ice and he's like, oh my god, it's so unexpected. Like it just he's like if I step on a nail, the solution is to cut my foot off.
Okay, but even better. So if anyone watched what was it with
1883? Are you talking about that one?
With you were talking about the mustache guy. What was
that's
was that
1923. The Yellowstone series.
The Yellowstone series. If you watch how his wife that he married on the boat, you watch how she came through. Like, how?
Yeah, and spoiler alert, she ends up dying, but
like, how did any of us survive? So point in case, my family heritage, my grandfather, that's how close it was. My grandfather was born in Syria. He came over in the boat, did what he had to do, and here I am. How? Like, how did he come through?
It's human.
I'm sure his parents and he had to go through a buttload. I mean, I can only imagine, but he wouldn't talk about it.
This is like early 1900s?
Yeah, like when Papa came through. But like,
it would have been like probably 1930s or something like that.
Yeah,
probably
something like that. But like, he wouldn't talk about. No, it was earlier than that because. I don't know. We have to ask my mom. Well, that's my mom.
When they came.
The true dates. But just without the dates, just imagine this. He came over from Syria. He came through Ellis Island. He is still alive and came through as a child with his parents and his brothers and sisters. And they made it to Jacksonville, Florida.
Like, that's wild.
And watching what she went through.
Just the travel back then to go
exactly
to go 1,000 miles across the United States.
So like when you watch
was insane.
when you watch something that I'm sorry, I know it's very far fetched and it's whatever, but to watch that and realize what my grandfather and his family went through to get to, and now here I am. I'm like, holy fucking shit.
Well, we've talked about
what
this.
What did y'all go through? And they had their own business. They had their own, like, the station.
Not even that, but to go back 1,000 years. Or 2,000 years. Like, for everyone that's on Earth right now, it's amazing that you're here just because of the likelihood of your whole lineage or your whole family not making it, or you not like it, your father not making it, or your great grandfather like back, it's like so easily could have not made it.
If certain parts of your heritage didn't make it, you wouldn't be here.
Well, that's what part of it is because of all the the biggest thing, like when people stopped dying as easily was when they started getting indoor plumbing. Because back in the 1800s, I mean, they would just just waste out into out into the, like they would have a bucket in the house and you just chucked it out the window. So there's just crap in the street and rats and just disease and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And back then the medicine wasn't like, if you got an infection, like you got a fever, like you may die. Like you got the flu, you might be like, it's baffling that the human race honestly has survived as long as it has. But I think there was just so many people, it couldn't wipe us all out. But that's why the population is exploding now over the last 100 years, just because of things like indoor plumbing, antibiotics, things like that can get rid of an infection. It's just massive to be able to cure just simple things like where if you got shot. You got shot in the Civil War. I mean, there's solutions on that. Like, you got shot in the arm, they just cut your arm off. And then cauterize it. Like, there was no pulling, because if they pulled the bullet out and then it got infected and it got gangrene, then it moved into the rest of your body. So
our oldest is on track with what we talk about. He's like, so these spots on my legs, he's like, you think that's where the arrow went in? And I told him, I said, it may have been an arrow.
We've talked about that before, yeah. Like birthmarks. Stuff like that.
Right? So our oldest has a couple of, they're not moles. Because I had him check.
It's like birthmarks, like just like one on his calf and one, just small.
And I told him, I said, maybe you're a cowboy.
Yeah, could have got shot in the leg.
I was like, maybe you're in like 1960.
We talked about it in a previous episode, where like some of the
1860, 1870. Like maybe your previous life was in true cowboy time, because he has one where he has it in his hip, he has it in his thigh, his knee, and his calf.
Gatling gun got him.
He's got 4 or 5 spots. And I asked the dermatologist, I'm like, what are those? And she said,
there's spots. Just little brown birthmarks.
She said there's nothing to be worried about.
Oh, so
I think that's
wild.
Born again spots.
I don't know.
And so we were talking about it. He goes, but you don't have any. And I said, I think I was a Viking princess.
Oh. That's what he doesn't want me to cut, because I've been talking about cutting my hair because it's getting long, and I know he's like, no, don't cut it. He's like, you got like the Viking look going on, and I'm like, it's so hot though.
I think he likes that
because
I think he's from the Viking. I really think Jack, our oldest, I really think his previous life may have been Viking. Because he has his moments where he's high and he's low in different parts of the time of the day. But we talked about that. Yeah. So let's talk about that again. So here we are. How many months again? And I'm waking up between 1:30 and 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then I go back to sleep for 2 hours. And then I'm up and I'm ready to go. Ask him, how energetic am I?
You are, but it's odd that the whole witching hour baffles me.
So my kids think I'm a witch.
But listen, so last night our youngest woke up, and we were talking about this, but he woke up and wanted something to drink, and the dog had gotten out of his room because the door was cracked or whatever. So I looked, when I came out here to the kitchen and got him something to drink, it was 3:17. And it's odd that like it's always around 3 o'clock. And that's when they say, I've seen stuff about this where it says around 3 o'clock is when we're the most vulnerable.
Because you've been asleep.
Mentally, but also like you're in a deep sleep at that point. You shouldn't wake up at 3 in the morning typically. So it's something.
So I think I wake up between 1:30 and 3. In protective mode.
Well, we talked about that. I said, like, if you had second watch in primitive times, then that would be your time to wake up. So,
I can't figure it. I want to do the, what is it?
Like the DNA test?
Yeah. No, so here's the whole thing. Everyone always says, we don't want your DNA to go to the government.
This is what people are scared of.
But I've had surgery multiple times. My DNA is already out there.
People are scared that if the government gets your DNA, that they can clone you then.
Well, sweetheart, I've had surgery 6 times.
But
they already have my DNA.
the doctor's not dropping off your DNA. When you're donating your DNA, who knows what you're signing?
So when you're donating blood?
No, not necessarily that, but like when you do the DNA submission, you may be some of those agreements that you're signing off on. You may be.
Let's be honest. No one wants to
clone you. Maybe
clone me. No one wants to clone me.
Maybe the DNA. Maybe the government's housing all this DNA so that when something happens, they can repopulate the world with some kind of cloning stuff. I'm the worst person
to clone. I can't breathe through my nose.
I don't know.
I have high anxiety.
But just for
I have asthma.
Just for like cultural diversion, you know, say there was only. Say you're the government, okay, and you have the ability to clone people, okay, into the world. Whatever, whether it's aliens, zombie apocalypse, World War III, whatever happens, there's a bunker of 100 people, okay? All right? In the ability to create clones or to birth new people, if you had a data bank of 10,000 different DNA samples, you could keep the blood fresh so that you don't have... like what? Not interbreeding, but
inbred.
Inbred DNA, because you could be able to infuse. You know, if you were to hatch, say, 100 new people per year, new babies, you know, and be able to breed that.
So you think that's what they're trying to do with my blood?
I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm just speaking out loud here because people have talked about it and stuff. They've got enough DNA at this point where they wouldn't need it because, like the 23andMe and what's the other one? There's another one, but they've got enough DNA samples at this point.
At this point, I just want to know what I'm mixed with.
Have you heard about the seed vault in Sweden?
Yes.
You've heard about that?
There's 2.
So they have
Have you heard that there's 2?
I have not.
There's more in Sweden.
Okay. Where's the other one? You know?
I think it's in South America.
Okay,
somewhere.
But they have one in Sweden because it's in an isolated area and it's a vault that has seeds,
everything
from every type of food, tree, plant, all this stuff, thousands of just different seeds and stuff, so that in the event something did happen, I guess that would be there. What if there's a DNA bank that they're lodging that to? You know. They're storing all that DNA. Remember, like in what was the movie where they went to space? Oh, it's Interstellar.
Yeah.
Where they have all the pods or whatever, and because she says something like they're trying to find that planet, and he's wanting to save his family, and she says you have to worry about the human race, not just your family at this point. Because they have those where they can incubate those pods and stuff to create more humans and stuff. All right. I got one more story I'm going to tell you. We're doing story time. Are you ready? You may have heard this one. I don't know if it's true, but I've seen this. I've heard this before. And I've been just trying to save interesting stories and stuff to bring up. So this one, there's a girl in a bar. Okay? She's super hot. I don't know. I don't know if she's super hot. But girl in a bar, she is having drinks with friends or whatever, and she has the sudden urge to tell this guy that she sees across the bar that her leg hurts, and she's like, "Why would I?" Like, it's just like in her head, like my leg doesn't really hurt, but I feel like I need to tell this guy this, and he goes, you know, her friends like she it's in her head.
My leg hurts.
Your leg hurts? Okay.
My leg always hurts.
But she's got this in her head, right? So she's like, you know, I feel like I should tell him. She goes back to her friends, talks about him. She keeps seeing this guy, and she's kind of like making eye contact with him a little bit, and, you know, kind of goes on, and it just keeps bugging her. And she's like, I don't know. I don't know why. I'm just going to go say it. So she walks up to this guy, and she says, I don't know why, but I have the desire to tell you that my leg hurts. And the guy looks at her and just breaks down crying. And she goes, oh my God. She's like, I'm sorry. I just had like this urge to come tell you this. And she goes, are you okay? Why are you so upset? And he says, my father just passed away. And he said, we had this agreement that if he died and there's an afterlife, that he would find a way to tell me a code word. And the code word was, my leg hurts.
Shut the front door.
So that it wasn't something common. And I was like, what? Like, if that's real, I was like, if this is a true story, like gives you like the chills, right? Like, and he's like, thank you so much for telling me, you know. But he said that was like our code word. He agreed, like when he was dying, he said, if there's an afterlife, I'll find a way to get a code word to you. And he's like, well, what are we going to come up with?
Stop it.
And he said, I'll say, somebody will say something about their leg hurting, or my leg hurts. I was like, what?
Stop.
Right?
Oh my God.
So it was basically like his dad telling him that everything is okay, that there is an afterlife, whatever.
So if anyone knows me, knows I believe in the afterlife, and people coming in contact with you. Are you serious?
Right.
I haven't seen this.
Yeah. I thought I had seen it before, but so that's what I've been trying to save interesting stuff like that. Like when I see it on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, I'm like, that's cool. Right, whether it's real, I don't know, or it's just a made up story, someone's creative, but I thought it was a cool story.
I don't know if I told it last summer. I don't think I did tell it last summer. So, last summer was our first summer back in the beach house.
Yep.
His parents have a beach house that got wiped out partially during Hurricane Michael, the hurricane category 5 Mexico Beach, right?
Yep.
The eye came right in, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We went over right after it happened to clean out and view everything that happened. And we took our youngest with us. And during that time, he and his dad were still cleaning out whatever. And I decided to take our youngest, or our oldest now at this time, on a little retreat. And we walked everything on our street.
Yeah, just wreckage and houses demolished. Yeah.
I mean, on top of concrete boulders, you couldn't see anything.
Looked like a nuclear bomb.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Like a nuclear bomb. Like in the fire things were still going on. Yeah, that he didn't knock off at that point. They were still going off. But anyways, we walked all through the backyard of our place, and we didn't see it. We came home, and about 2 days later, we found out that they found a body in the backyard.
Not in our. It was like right in the wreckage behind us. Somebody had stayed behind and rode out the hurricane, and their house collapsed. They rode out
right, but it was where our oldest time, our only child at the time, we had walked over numerous times. We never saw it. Thank God we didn't see it.
It's just buried under the wreckage.
I cannot imagine what that would have done to the two of us if we had seen it.
Yeah.
So we found out that, whatever. Fast forward to last year, 2024, where I'm sleeping in our bunk room, and I'm awake during my witching hours, everyone says.
Yep.
And I could see someone. I'm not joking. I saw him. It was a ghost. Like, they were floating. There was a face, whatever. They were hovering, blah, blah, blah. I welcome them. It's whatever.
I do not welcome them.
No, it was very peaceful.
Okay.
That's my whole thing. It was very peaceful. That person didn't need to die. Anyways, fast forward. I still believe that person is there, but in a peaceful way. Like, I still believe in ghosts, and they want to be peaceful, and they want to be there. It's not a bad thing.
Well, they say,
like,
here's what the stuff I've read says that like if there's a traumatic,
like if you're
death,
murdered,
that's
different.
Or if like this, like there's a bunch of like the Civil War battlefields and stuff that they say are haunted and stuff, where it's almost like the spirit can't leave.
Oh.
So, I mean, that's just, you know.
And I don't want to scare anybody. I don't want to scare anybody to go back over to the beach house.
No.
But I still believe that spirit's still there, because I felt that spirit when I was there 2 weeks ago. And I welcomed it. They don't mean any harm. They just want peace. They just want happiness. They just want to, I think, in a way, be let go. And I don't think that, and for me, I don't know how to make them I don't know how to let them go. But I did see it again. I didn't say anything to anybody when we were there, because I didn't piss anybody off. But I did see it again when we were there.
Did you?
Yes.
You didn't tell me this.
I didn't want to make anybody mad.
Yeah.
But it is still there. I don't know if it's a he or she. I really don't. But it's still there. But it's so peaceful. It just wants to be loved. That's how I feel. And I feel like y'all are going to judge me thinking, oh, she's been drinking. But I really do believe that soul needs someone to love it. And I felt it again when we were there. And I think that's why I was awake. I didn't feel it. So here's the funny thing. I did not feel it when we were sleeping in the master.
Yeah.
When we slept in that middle room, I didn't feel it. The second we got in the bunk room, when I was closer to it, I felt it. And I didn't sleep for 2 nights. It's there. It just wants to be love.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know about all that, but, you know.
I think that it didn't hurt me.
Okay.
But it woke me up, because I think it, whatever it is.
What'd you see?
Just an orb.
Like while you were sleeping?
I was awake.
Just like light?
Yeah. It's like a sense. Like you can sense it there. It's really weird, because I've only sensed it at the beach house. And I've only sensed it at the apartments that I lived at. Where we went today.
Yeah.
I've only sensed it there. But it's... I don't know. Maybe you can set up a camera when we go back. But I can feel it. Like, it just wants someone to hold it. Like, it wasn't meant... And maybe it doesn't have another family.
It's a sadness thing.
It really
I don't know.
is.
I want to say it was an older person that was living over there. So I don't know.
It really makes me sad.
I've always been hesitant. Like I've always been like I'm not super religious, but like if I'm praying, like I've prayed away
for Bodhi.
Well, for I've prayed away evil spirits and stuff, just because I'm like, you know, as a kid, like watching scary movies and stuff, like you know, and I grew up Catholic, so like I would pray away like scary stuff, and like my mom would always say, well, you can say a prayer if you're scared and stuff.
You've prayed away evil spirits from Bodhi, and it made him sleep through the night.
I don't know. I just don't. I mean, like all the stuff I've watched about, like when we've talked about this, but like where kids are more susceptible to the spirits and things like that, so. I've kind of prayed away that there not be anything that disturb his sleep and things like that, you know.
So I think this is the difference between you and I is I had a big family, like extended family. Yeah. And I knew people that died as I was a kid. Like I would go to funerals and so I think I'm more perceptible to the spirits and accepting them, because I think as a kid, you didn't know any better, so I welcome them. Yeah. I think mentally as a kid, I've just always been hesitant, because you don't know if they're good spirits or bad spirits. Well, everybody I've accepted has been good spirits. I know, but you never know. So I've always been hesitant to because they do, like, religious stuff says that like there can be like where they disguise themselves as a friendly spirit or something, and then it's not a friendly spirit. So I've always been hesitant to accept anything like that.
My dad did tell me a story. I think I've told you this, but when my grandfather died, it was like shortly after. It was before we went to the funeral. I think it was the night he said, which whether this is a dream or not, but he said it was the night after I guess they got the call. I think that he had passed away, and we had to go out of town to go to his funeral. He woke up and there was an angel. He said, like, literally looked like an angel, like what you would see in like what you like with wings, like glowing, full blown angel.
Halo and everything.
He said there was an angel at their my parents' bedroom door, and there was one at my bedroom door. Basically, watching over us sleep. And he said he woke up and saw it, and I don't get because my like their room was here in my room, so I don't know if he got up and looked at my room and like the full story, but he said he felt like extremely peaceful and it wasn't scared or anything and just went back to sleep. So I don't know if that was a dream. It could have been. There's also the thought that like was it a dream and then it's your father communicating to you through a dream kind of, or did you actually see something, So I don't know. There's so much mystery around. That's kind of what the podcast is about. Let's talk about, interesting stuff like that. I had that girl that I had messaged. I think I told you about this. I want to see if I can get her on the podcast and talk to her, like do a phone call if we could do it. But she said she has been reincarnated. This was in a comment thing. It was something I saw on Instagram where people were talking about this. It was about reincarnation. And she can remember multiple lives. And I said, would you be willing to let me, like I DM'd her and said, would you be willing to let us call you?
I'd love to ask
and
her
just tell your story for 15 minutes and, and she was like, I don't know, maybe. She said, I really don't want to give my name. I'm like, you don't have to give your name at all. We can call you Susie for all I care, and just do it. So I want to message her again. And see, because I DM'd her and see what she's. I'm just curious. I think all of it's fascinating. I'm not big on like a lot of people talk bad about like Ouija board. I don't like to welcome stuff like that in because you don't know what you're opening up.
So,
but to talk to somebody that's got a story, I think it's interesting and
so I can
whether it's not true or it is. I'm curious to talk to them.
So my grandmother, Grandma Shelton, Dad's mom, she lived with us for years, and then she went back home for hospice. And I was in 7th grade, and I remember it. I was in graphic arts. I remember the teacher. I remember the room I was in, and they called me and said, Sam, come to the front office. And I remember looking at my friend as I was making my shirt, because I was in graphic arts, and I said, my grandma died. And my friend was like, you don't know that. I was like, she did. She passed away. And I got in the car, and it was in Grandma's Buick. And I remember, or maybe Buick, I don't know. Dad can correct me on this. But he was driving it, and he leaned over, and he hugged me. And I remember it felt like she was hugging me too.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. Because I knew the second they called my name, she had already passed.
Yeah.
And I knew before that she had already passed because I already felt weird before they called my name.
Yeah. Well, we went kind of down a little bit of a bummer path here,
no,
bro.
No, it's not a bummer path. Because, you know what? Our whole yard, if you don't even notice it, our entire yard is full of cardinals. You know what cardinals are for?
What?
For those that have passed.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Walt said they never had cardinals here until we moved here.
Really? Huh.
Yep. So we've had cardinals through our entire yard throughout the entire year. It's not seasonal. They're always here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
And cardinals are those who come and visit us.
Interesting.
But I knew when she passed and then when Granny passed, I knew exactly when it happened.
Yeah. They say people can like feel it if you're really close to them and stuff.
Like your heart almost stops.
Like there's people that have like can sense it the second it happens, which is even stranger.
Weird.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up, and we'll be back next week.
We will, and I will listen to some conspiracies. I'm sorry.
We'll get Sam chugging some beers and back to our weekly burping, all right? So we will see you guys next week. Later.